Good morning, All Souls. And happy Father's Day as well. Whether you are here in person or watching us online, may you know that you are a living member of the great family of All Souls. I'm Reverend Kathleen Rolenz. I'm serving as your bridge minister, and sharing today's service with me is Worship Associate Jennifer Vermont Davis. And I am also delighted to welcome guest minister, Reverend Dr. Wayne B. Arnason, who will be sharing part of the sermon with me. Reverend Wayne is not only a Unitarian Universalist minister in his own right, he's a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, but he also happens to be my husband as well. So I am delighted that you are here sharing the pulpit this morning. I know, aw. I want to give a special welcome and a shout out to our visitors and guests. If you are comfortable, would you be willing to raise your hand so that we can warmly welcome you? My goodness, it's so great to see all of you. Speaking of which, after the service, all are welcome to go downstairs to Forest Church Gallery, not the, Reedy Hall for coffee, tea, and conversation. But at 12:30, Gretchen Gabrielson, who is here, will be hosting a newcomer bagel brunch. That will be held in the Forest Church Gallery, which is adjacent to Reedy Hall. So grab a bagel at a table and stay as long as you are able. I know. Thank you, Gretchen. And also, there are visitor cards in the pew racks and presumably online as well. Fill those out and put it in the offering plate as it goes by, so we just get a chance to know you a little bit better. You know, I've been told that some New England churches shut down for the summer, but we are in the city that never sleeps. So All Souls keeps worship and programming all summer long. So before I make a few brief announcements about all of the things that are still happening every week here at All Souls, I wanted to give a special shout out to the Souls in Service group, who organized members of All Souls to participate in yesterday's No Kings rally. So thank you, Souls in Service, for your initiative. Yeah. Thank you. Initiative and your service. There was a good turnout, and yes, we got rained on, and it was fabulous. A couple of things. The All Souls Queer Sundays brunch meets at 1. It's off-site. And at 1, please stay after coffee hour for the budget dialogue session. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not mention that this is the last Sunday of the Great Book Giveaway. There are books on the table outside and probably in the vestibule available to take away until 2 p.m., and then those books will go the way of all flesh. So get those books. It's all free and yours for the taking. Now, speaking of free, we are what's called a free church. We believe in the freedom of the mind and freedom to choose. But what's not free is what it takes to run an institution like this. So we are staring down, at last count, about $143,000 budget shortfall of our annual giving operating funds before June 30th. Now, I know I'd prefer not to make these announcements any longer. Maybe you'd prefer not to hear them any longer. But I also know that you are people of good will and good heart, and will make your donation to the annual giving for the 2024-2025 church year before we close out the books on June 30th. There are many other activities found in your order of service and on our website. But let's just take a moment now. Settle in, silence your cell phones, settle your minds and your hearts, and prepare to hear these words of the call to worship. For these are the days which we have been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in them. These are the days of our lives. Let us live them well in love and in service. These are the days of mystery and wonder. Let us cherish and celebrate them in gratitude together. These are the days that have been given to us. Let us make of them stories worth telling to those who come after us. our opening words from Director of Faith Formation, Jessica Hess.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Hess, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve as your professional religious educator. I've been a Unitarian Universalist for over 20 years, and it has been the foundation of my vocation for a decade. Each of us has our very own origin story in this faith, and each story is unique and as unique as each of us. A friend had suggested, after the birth of my daughter in 2001, the local Unitarian Universalist congregation where I live in Pennsylvania. And in that summer that followed, in 2002, on July 4th weekend, ironically, I showed up with my 2 young boys and my 1-year-old daughter on my hip. It felt like coming home. Connie Goodbread, who has been a leader in our faith for decades, says faith development is all we do. Unitarian Universalism is the faith we teach. The congregation is the curriculum. We are a living tradition, which to me means we are prized to live out our principles and values every day in all of the communities in which we are a part, especially this one. Being in community with other Unitarian Universalists feels like home, always. Home is the place where I can be my true self, the place where I reflect on the interconnected web of which we are all a part, the place where I treat each person with inherent worth and dignity, and the place I am most generous with my resources. It's been a blessing to live out my free and responsible search for truth and meaning with love in pursuit of justice and equity for the last 23 years as a Unitarian Universalist. And it is an honor to journey with you along this path here in our faith home. I'm sorry. Please join me in saying our bond of union.
Good morning. Please join me in responsive reading, number 612, Fearful of Joy. Is it beyond thee to be glad with the gladness of this rhythm, to be tossed and lost and broken in the whirl of this fearful joy? Keep in step with that restless, rapid music. Seasons come dancing and pass away. Please rise, if you're able to, and join us in singing hymn number 63, The Sweet June Days.
Well, I'm very grateful to Reverend Kathleen for the opportunity just once to have a chance to see the church from this side of the pulpit. It's a different view. And I'm glad to share with you a poem this morning by Brenda Hillman called Some Kinds of Forever Visit You. The unknowns are up early. They browse through the bronze porch bells. Crows call and late apples blaze towards western emptiness. In your illness, the edges hesitate. Like the revolt of workers, they will take a while. Here comes the fond, mild winter. Other realms are noisy and unanimous. You tap the screen and dream while waiting. 4 kinds of forever visit you today. Something, nothing, everything, and art. Greater than you are, and of your making.
Please join with me now in a time of meditation, reflection, prayer, and silence. O Spirit of life, today is Father's Day, and we take a moment to honor and remember those who have fathered us. Biological fathers, stepfathers, adoptive and foster fathers, grandfathers, spiritual fathers, all the uncles and brothers and friends who, whether they know it or not, have helped to fill the role of father in someone's life. We pause this day and this moment to be grateful to all of you who are actively parenting or grandparenting or serving as uncles and mentors and friends, whether through your own children or supporting others. And we want to thank you and acknowledge the fathers of this world who are redefining how to be a man in healthy and more humane ways. May each of us grow in strength, in vulnerability, for courage and compassion, for grace and the grit, for those who have been friend and father to us all. We hold in heart and mind this day both the joys of the world and its sorrows, which are many and abundant. Joy and woe are indeed woven fine, and so in the holy quiet of this moment, we hold the whole in heart and mind, praying for peace, for clarity, for compassion, and for justice. We pause for a moment now to hold this in silent witness. Amen. Please join with me in singing together hymn number 289.
Happy Pride Month. So each month, All Souls shares the plate with an organization that represents our values. This month, we are pleased to share the plate with the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Center. I am sure you all already know of the urgent threats facing this community and the need for spaces for LGBTQ+ members to feel seen, heard, supportive, and yes, safe. Your generosity will make a difference in the lives of many. Let the offering now be generously given and graciously received.
Je suis le spectre libre.
What a gift. Thank you. The unknowns are up early, begins the poem by Brenda Hillman. And isn't that always the case? So begins our meditation today, not with clarity, not with certainty, but with mystery. This morning, I invite you into a mystery that lives within us and a deeper dive into the 4 kinds of forever: something, nothing, everything, and art. And examining those through the lens of what we are doing here in this gathering today, in this community, in this institution. What we are doing here as partners in a spiritual community is a radical act of exploration, of both soul searching and soul nurturing. And sometimes we forget that because there are so many details to attend to that enable us to be together today. And you've already heard and seen some of us, the talk of many of them this morning: meeting plans, fundraising, budgets. But arching over all of our meetings and committees and plans and programs, our grand building and needs for maintenance, is something that you feel, that we feel, on Sunday in this sanctuary, online, yet we can never quite name, because we are steeped together in mystery, that which is steeped in time and that which is also timeless. Am I being too obscure? Don't worry, the whole sermon is not about mystery. What is really on my mind is that I have just 2 sermons left with you, 2 opportunities to preach from this pulpit into this historic and sacred space and this amazing congregation. So for these last 2 sermons, I want to explore 2 parts of the mysteries that we have been untangling for these past 6 months. First, what this time of transition has meant for you as a congregation, and for me as one who will formally retire from full-time parish ministry at what's called the Service of the Living Tradition at Unitarian Universalist's annual gathering known as General Assembly, happening this week. Because both transitions in senior leadership and transitions into retirement means that you face the mystery of those 4 kinds of forever that Hillman describes in her poem. I love the first line: the unknowns are up early. And I also have to acknowledge that one of the knowns of my life is waking up to my husband and this morning's co-preacher, the Reverend Dr. Wayne Arnason, usually around 5:30 in the morning with coffee and conversation, always in that order. Now, way too often that conversation can be about the sermon that is percolating inside of me. But we have also used that time to talk about so many other mysteries that I will also be exploring next Sunday. We talked a lot about his retirement back in 2016 and my recent impending retirement in 2 weeks. And when we found this poem by Brenda Hillman quoted within a beautiful blog post by Maria Popova, we both wanted to explore with you those 4 kinds of forever that visit us in a sermon today. So let's start with the first kind. 4 kinds of forever visit you. Something. Something's always happening to me, sang the poet and songwriter Patti Smith in a song called Wave. And it's true, right? Something is always happening. Smith's lament reminded me of another line from another poet, William Wordsworth, a century and a half earlier, when he wrote, "The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers." And I've said it before from this pulpit, but honestly, the shock and rapidity of what is happening in the world right now, while not unparalleled, not unprecedented, is happening at a pace that is both intentional and frightening. So something is always happening that demands our attention, our energy, our commitment, our response. But it's not just in the world outside. It's in the world inside, right? The world inside ourselves. Not just in our monkey minds, but in that part of us that we sometimes call our spirits, sometimes call our souls. That part intimately connected to the values we care about, to the people we wish to become or hope we are becoming. All the somethings that happen constantly threaten the equanimity that we come here to this sanctuary, whether in person or online, to find that essential something we look for in a spiritual message, with the hope that when we leave, we can better meet the world outside of these walls. So, the first kind of forever is that something is forever happening. Your senior minister announces his retirement. You plan a good goodbye, and then you wait. What will come next? Will I like them? What if I don't? Will this still be my congregation? What if that minister changes things that I care about? This is where knowing your history as a congregation is helpful. And if you haven't already, you should pick up a copy of the magnificent 200 anniversary book at today's book giveaway after the service. Because there you will find all those somethings that this congregation have faced. Many ministers, many moves, many financial challenges, many occasions for protest. The AIDS crisis, September 11th, the terminal illness of a beloved senior minister, the retirement of many ministers. Something is always happening at All Souls. What's the through line? The through line is that your ancestors also had to deal with those somethings, and so will you. And you will welcome and embrace the next chapter of your life with the same grace and goodwill that you have embraced me. Never underestimate the power that you have and that you find in having to always deal with the something. 4 kinds of forever visit you today. Something, nothing. Songwriter Neil Young once wrote a line I've never forgotten. He said, "It's hard to face that open space." And for those of us who are raised in an over-functioning Western capitalist culture, nothingness is a bit terrifying. Now, of course, for the Buddhists among us, the ability to face nothing in silence with emptiness, that's kind of the point of spiritual practice. No thoughts, no separation. And for those of us steeped in regular sitting with nothing, that nothingness, that open space, can be a place of great respite. It's like the other line, the fond, mild winter of Hillman's poem, which suggests not sloth, not laziness, but the way winter can whisper truths that we can't hear when we're engaged with all of the somethings. So, in my work with congregations, often over a period of 2 years, I usually encourage them first to slow down. And they resist. They don't want to slow down. Every congregation I have served in transitional roles has members who ask, why do we have to go through this interim time? Why can't we just go straight into searching for our forever minister? Well, I tell them, as a congregation, you certainly can. No one from the Unitarian Universalist Association is going to tell you that you can't. But I'm telling you, in my never-to-be-humble opinion, it would be unwise, because you need the seemingly nothing time as well. It's the rest between the notes. It's the space between the breaths. It's the time that hollows us out, leaving space for deeper discernment, for grace, for intuition, for insight, for wisdom, for new truths to emerge. You need to re-examine your identity. Who are we now without the influence of your past minister or ministers? Who are we now, and who do we wish to become? These are forever questions, not only in congregational life, but in our lives through every stage of transition. Because, as we know, our lives are nothing but one long series of transitions. I'm thinking back to the beautiful service that was led here last Sunday, acknowledging the youth to the young adults. But we don't have public rituals that acknowledge some of the other milestones that happen in our lives, from young adult to adult, from adult to possibly parent, or to a career, or both. The empty nest for parents, divorce, moving, leaving a community, retirement. All these transitions necessitate a shift in our identity, and that takes time. It takes time for your identity and your soul and your spirit to catch up with one another. And sometimes what's in between is nothing. 4 kinds of forever visit you today. Something, nothing, everything. Everything. Did any of you remember that film a couple years back, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? It was an absolutely wacky film. It's an over-the-top exploration of living in the multiverse, experiencing multiple universes all at once. It is absurdist, it's surrealist, it's oddly existentialist, as the main character attempts to navigate these parallel versions of herself in multiple universes. Now, I didn't love the film, but I could really relate to it. Because there are some days that I feel like, maybe you do too, that we are dealing with everything, everywhere, all at once. And in fact, we are living in the multiverse. Every day, memories and regrets about the past, and anxieties about the future, and maybe boredom with the present. It's this overwhelming flood of feelings we get at any given moment, all sometimes at the same time: love, grief, meaning, present, the past, the future. All these things that we feel and sometimes we can't even really name. Well, as a transitional minister, I enter congregations when they are often experiencing everything, everywhere, all at once. They have feelings about their former minister. They have anxieties about the future. They want to keep up the illusion that nothing has changed, because to admit otherwise would confess to the conceit that nothing ever changes, and we know that's not true. So instead, I encourage congregations to embrace this present time as a landscape of exploration. And I'm guided by the words of yet another poet, Rilke, when he says, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. Nothing, no feeling is final." And as a dear colleague of mine and I like to say to each other to conclude our phone calls, you know, in the end, everything will be all right. And if it's not all right, it's not the end. Forever is a word that has a certain kind of aspiration on how we embrace all the moments in between the somethings and the nothings and the everythings. Forever is a word that also challenges our notion of time. So now I'd like to turn the pulpit over to my dear colleague, the Reverend Dr. Wayne Arnason, to pick up on these themes and to share with you how he thinks about these 4 kinds of forever.
Being involved in a church community invites you to experience time in a new way. All religions, in one way or another, address the basic fact of human existence, the fact that All Souls minister for his church described as being alive and having to die. And if you participate in church regularly, you soon realize that one of the most important things that a church community offers is a way to honor that time between and to make it sacred. So we do that through rituals associated with the important holidays of the seasons, and we do it through ceremonies that mark the great rites of passage that happen in our lifetimes. The births, the coming of age, the marriages, and the deaths. Sometimes, for some people in church, we mark retirements, usually for ministers and staff. Not so much for members. But this is a rite of passage that so many of us experience and we all recognize is important in our lives. It doesn't seem to have a place in traditional prayer books, and it does happen differently these days for different people over different periods of time. So we're lacking a standard liturgy that invokes this sacred passage. All the other rites of passage invite us to contemplate the hope and the promise of an expanse of time that lies ahead of the person or the people that are being celebrated. An expanse that, especially when we're young, feels like forever. A retirement liturgy might try to do the same because we have become better acquainted by that time, usually, with our mortality, perhaps even made friends with it. Forever has a different meaning for us. So as you've already heard, as Reverend Kathleen has approached this rite of passage in her own life, we've been talking quite a bit about all of its meanings, and we've looked for wisdom in the writers and the poets that are our companions. Maria Popova, the Bulgarian writer, is one of those companions. You might remember her as the author of a book entitled Figuring, about how creative people in various professions undertake meaning-making in their lives. In her blog post that inspired this sermon, Kathleen came across some words that seemed appropriate to this particular stage of life that we're in, but that also seem to resonate for many other people at other stages of passage. Popova describes it this way: there's an existential disorientation of feeling your transience press against the edge of the eternal, your smallness press against the immensity that dwells at the intersection of time, chance, and love. God is just what some call their dream of a crosswalk when they face that intersection. We can certainly have that experience of transience pressing against the edges of the eternal at other times in our lives, earlier times than retirement, especially those times when birth and death become more intimate, or when we become a parent, or when we face a challenging illness, or when we experience a profound loss of someone that we love. Retirement is a more routine occasion when we come to that crosswalk at the intersection of time, chance, and love. And because time and chance are beyond our control, what we must rely on as we approach that intersection is love. That we can control. The love that our faith proclaims as the centerpiece of our UU values. The love that we can call forth from within us and give and share. At the conclusion of Poplova's blog post, we found the Brenda Hillman poem. She quoted it, the poem Some Kinds of Forever. And I was very taken by the poet's image that there are these 4 different doorways through which you can enter the unimaginable space of forever. Something, nothing, everything, and art. And I started to think for myself about what it's meant for me to find these doorways within time, and especially within the open field of time, the Western emptiness, the poet calls it, that looms before you when a new chapter of your life is looming. And especially maybe when that chapter is retirement. So here's what I concluded. Time cries out for structure. And at any stage of life, for me, there have been 4 baskets in which I have tried to draw out my time. And I look to these 4 baskets in my own retirement years, and I recommend them to Kathleen. The first basket holds the time that I devote to my spiritual practice that grounds me mentally, emotionally, and physically. I would label this, using Hillman's 4 Kinds of Forever, as my nothing basket, because spiritual practices produce lots of nothing. Nothing visible, nothing fungible, nothing that adds to the gross national product. This is the basket where you experience the nothing that opens a door to forever. Then the second basket is what I would call my work. But what that really means is doing things that I'm good at and really enjoy. And I would label that the something basket. In the best of all possible worlds, the something basket holds time that you spend doing work that you get paid for maybe, or work that has given you a base of financial support previously, or something new that has become a new kind of work that you really enjoy. And then there's a third basket, that's the everything basket. And in my everything basket, there are all the relationships that nourish and inspire my life. My marriage or partnership, children, dear friends, communities with which we identify, including this one. And finally, a fourth basket of time holds a different kind of space, a space for creativity, for what's emerging, for what's unexpected, for what represents a new opportunity to become something different in your life than you have ever been before. And I would label this the art basket, because whether you see yourself in any conventional sense as an artist or not, you are the artist that has designed and built and embodied the creative project that is your life. And there is always going to be room for more creativity, especially as you head into retirement. The creative project is not finished, but you need to hold a space in that fourth basket for your creativity to take advantage of the unexpected opportunities that will come.
It's that last basket that I'm both personally interested in exploring as I enter a new phase of life, and one that I'm excited for you, All Souls, as you imagine the next chapter of your congregational life. You know, I can imagine it as if it were an art project, because anyone who's done anything in the creative arts knows it is rarely a linear process. There are phrases, images, colors, stories, fragments of memories, history, shapes, sounds, all are fodder for the creative act. But you can't force it. You have to sit with it, sit with the somethings that you have, allowing the nothing to wait with you, to not be overwhelmed by the everything. And eventually, we'll turn all of this time into art, into the artful life that is at the center of All Souls. And when you do, all that longing that you have for a full and robust church, for a religious education program that is growing, for programs that are spiritually nourishing, for governance that is helpful, and day-to-day operations that run smoothly, for that hum and that buzz and that juice and that joy that some of you have experienced, it's all there. It's all there, like the way the artist incorporates the odd color that makes the canvas pop, or the way that dissonant high note resolves, leaving you and your spirit into a strangely new and yet familiar place. So let something give you hope. Let nothing give you rest. Let everything awaken awe. Let art remind you that all of this is greater than we are, and yet of our own making. May it be so. Oh, I can't wait for you to join with me in this closing hymn. This is number 143, Not in Vain the Distance Beacons. You'll probably recognize the tune. So rise and let's sing it together. May God bless us and keep us. Sorry, you can be seated. I know you're used to being seated. Thank you. Let's do that again. And now in our going, may God bless us and keep us. May the light of God shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious unto us and grant us peace. For this, if you know this, say this with me. I love this line. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. May it be so.